Okay, welcome back. Power mapping. Why do we make maps of complex problems? Here again, we're in the problem definition phase. What you'll see here is I put these two little asterisks. Why? Because I have a whole set of videos just on power mapping that you can look for in the channel that can go into much more detail. But I'm just going to give you a very short summary of the kinds of maps that we can build and why they might help us. So why maps? Why don't we just talk about what the problem is or write it down in a long memo? Well, Martin Epler, a researcher at the University of St. Gallen, has published a series of studies showing the different benefits of taking knowledge out of people's heads and putting it into a visual form, whether it's a diagram, a sketch, a heuristic, a visual metaphor. And he has listed lots of different benefits for group thinking. Some of them are cognitive benefits, right? That if you visualize knowledge, it's easier to synthesize a complex issue. It's easier to ensure that you've covered all the topics because sometimes you can't remember what you talked about 10 minutes ago, but you can see on the map, oh, we've talked about this and this, but not this other thing. And it's much easier to remember images than text. Our brains evolved to long before the use of alphabets and text, and so anything that calls on our visual memory tends to be easier to remember than text alone. And then there's also some benefits to the dynamics of your team, that if you're building something together, right, you're clarifying what everyone in the team knows. You're doing it in a collaborative way where everyone's focused on the same thing at the same time. And that can, really build some nice energy and connection within the group. So visualizing knowledge, the collective knowledge of a team, can both make us smarter and also make us kind of happier and more connected. I teach about 3 different kinds of power maps, to which I, as I said, dedicated different videos. Actor maps are maps of an ecosystem of actors or organizations that have a stake in the problem. Sometimes you've heard of stakeholder mapping. It's the same idea. I talk about power mapping because we're interested not just in who has a stake, who's impacted, but who has power over that problem. So actor map is a kind of a snapshot of who has power or influence over this problem. Process map is a map of time, of how do things work, how do institutions work, how do decisions get made, who's involved in each step. And then finally, systems maps are maps of feedback processes, interdependencies, relationships, the flow of information, and we use things like feedback loops to designate how knowledge or energy or information flows through a system, and therefore how certain behaviors can emerge that either are very good or very bad, and that we can use these systems maps to help identify where there's leverage, high leverage or low leverage in intervening points to intervene in the system. So these are all the subjects of other video series that I can recommend to you. I'm just going to show you one actor map. In a video I talk about how I played a small role in getting a amendment to the President Obama's healthcare law passed in the year 2009, 2010. And here's another schema of an actor map where you're just analyzing where different actors stand and their involvement in the issue and their favorability towards you or against you. These are just 2 possible ways of visualizing this information. So I'm going to recommend those other videos to you, but we're going to move on in this series to talk about how we deconstruct problems and analyze their root causes.